we'll start with the biggest story coming out of last night. Overrated, underrated from Intergalactic Potato, winning the division.
Winning the division, it seems as though it's underrated by most. I feel like.
I think it is underrated. Not to say again, like you can enjoy and applaud and appreciate a regular season, and then have a different level of expectation for the playoffs.
Yeah,
like they're two separate entities. And after an 82-game marathon, the Canucks winning the Pacific Division for the first time, and winning a division for the first time in what 11? Well, how many?
2012.
2012. So what? 12 years
Yeah.
ago since the last time we won a division. Like it's a great indication of where the organization is heading. Hopefully beyond this year, right? And the fact that you're already sitting here in a division with Edmonton and Vegas, and you won it. Yeah, I think it should be appreciated.
Nobody expected this to happen for the Vancouver Canucks this year, right? You were expected maybe to be a playoff team. If everything goes right, we'll be all right. Yeah, that's the quote from Jim Rutherford at the start of the year. This team has exceeded all expectations. And it's not a fluke. The way they set themselves up, they were prepared for the season, and that's what helped them get to where they are today. You should celebrate division wins. You should celebrate success in the regular season. Obviously, not as much as you would a Stanley Cup win, but success over 82 games should be rewarded, and it should be enjoyed when it does happen. And I don't think you enjoy it enough because we're in this mindset of like it's always championship or bust in North American sports.
I find it funny though that some that would criticize it and be like, it doesn't mean anything, would also be very critical of the team for not winning a division, perhaps if they didn't win it, and not being a good team or great team. It's like, you can't expect great things from the team, and then when they accomplish good things, be like, well, it doesn't matter anyways.
Yeah.
I just think back to how much bad hockey we've watched the last 7 or 8 years. Just enjoy it.
Yes.
It's not overly significant, but enjoy it nonetheless. Overrated, underrated from Justin and East Fam. Same theme. Division banners.
Those would be overrated.
You think a division banner is overrated?
Yeah, like as a banner, like if it's hanging from a rafter.
I don't know. I'm into it. Celebrate it. You won the division.
Yeah.
You won something.
I like conference and cup. Fine. I like Stanley Cups and conferences.
Okay, so what they have?
Do you put Stanley Cup finalist on your?
That's
No,
conference champion.
that's-
conference champion.
What's more impressive, getting to a cup final and not winning, or winning a division?
Yeah. Both are impressive. Both are impressive, and both should be celebrated.
But I think
What did Nashville get crushed for? Putting up Stanley Cup finalist or something like that?
Did they? Was it? Maybe.
It was something in the regular season, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a regular season thing, but I think it's funny. Like, if you're criticizing Stanley Cup finalists, you can't criticize putting up a Pacific Division or division banner.
Yeah, maybe.
But most teams putting conference championship banners. They just may not celebrate them at the home opener the next year if they lose.
Yeah.
But I think the Canucks have done what a number of teams have done. They'll still recognize their division titles and just put a banner with a list of
The years they've won their division.
exactly.
Right, yeah.
I
Division
think
winners.
the Canucks have done
Yeah,
that in recent years.
I don't mind that having one banner or two that shows all the division wins or something. Sure.
Yeah.
So the Predators, they got crushed for putting up Western Conference champions as a banner.
What? So.
But that's the year they went to the Stanley Cup final and lost to Pittsburgh. There's nothing wrong with that.
To me, I don't know why people make fun of that. If you are defending putting up division titles, why would you be mad about being a Stanley Western Conference champion?
Well, because it's kind of a way of celebrating a silver medal.
Sure, celebrate it. What's wrong with celebrating success? You finished second. Yes, you want to win a Stanley Cup, right?
Yes.
But should you just dismiss all the success you had and be like, yeah, I'm not happy. I want to. So the only reason at the Olympics you're happy finishing second and third is because you're getting hardware. So if we gave the runner-up a medal, would you feel better about it?
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference between having gold, silver, and bronze and enjoying finishing second?
Well, we've seen at the World Juniors who was Elias Anderson who threw his medal into the crowd after finishing second.
Yeah, and I'm sure, when he thinks about it down the road, he won't feel as bad about having a silver medal in a World Hockey Championship.
But there's a difference between a 2-week tournament and a 10-month grind and laying it all out for that period of time.
Yeah, no, you can be upset.
Go so close,
but you can also appreciate the run that you had.
Yeah.
I don't think even the guys from 2011, they're upset about what happened, but none of them regret the fact they went through it.
Yeah. winning the President's Trophy and getting
Yeah.
as far as they did.
Winning the Western Conference, getting to the Stanley Cup final.
I'm into a division banner. Honestly, I don't think you celebrate regular season successes. You know, I've always had this take in baseball. You know, if you win a division in baseball over 162 games, like that is a marathon,
Dan
man.
Riccio, our 1949.
That is
winning
a
the
marathon.
division, going to the World Series.
Then you get into these like best of 5 series where like a weird dribbler through the infield is going to cost you your season, and it's just like, man, we played 162 for this. Can you believe it? So Alcides Escobar can steal a bunch of bases on us, and ump can call a ball outside on a pitch that was 5 feet out over the plate against Ben Revere.
Angel Hernandez ruined everything.
Not that I have scars about the Jays losing to the Royals or anything like that.
No,
but
clearly not. That Game 6 though is the worst
it
game
was
ever.
so bad.
I can't stand that game. That's like the bane of my baseball existence. Game 6 against the Royals.
The Amish kid in the crowd is just like.
The Amish kid snuck away to go watch the baseball game.
This one from Knuckles. You good?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
good.
You sure?
Yeah.
From Knuckles, team awards as voted on by fans, even though getting it wrong. Overrated, underrated.
I mean, team awards voted by fans cannot be underrated, can they?
They're
They're going to be clearly, because I mean, the sample is a complete, you know what? People
Yeah.
can put multiple votes in if they really wanted to figure out ways to do
Yes.
so. It's manipulated. It's
Well,
not a
it's-
great indication of the fan base in general. Like, I think it's completely overrated. It's fun to do, and you shouldn't dismiss it, but it's overrated.
It is similar to All-Star voting, right?
Yeah.
How John Scott and the like got into an All-Star game, and whomever else in other sports has done it. It's happened as well, where like the home team that's getting an All-Star game will overvote their players to get
Rory.
into said All-Star game, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. I don't think like any of the awards were so off base last night, though.
I mean, JT probably shouldn't be the MVP, but again, like we spoke about this too, that if you wanted to make a spicy argument for team MVP, it'd be JT.
Yes.
Release
like, you could
the
make-
ballots. Show every voter.
Like if Demko didn't go down with the injury, he would have had a shout for MVP as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing is, like, would you trust fans more with NHL awards or media more with NHL awards? And I've been criticizing the media quite a bit when it comes to NHL awards.
Yes.
The past little while.
There are some media that are pretty bad with their votes, you know. But generally, I think the gen pop of media that are voting on these awards, they do take it seriously. But there are some guys that are
Yes.
just absolutely homers, and they're just going to vote for their hometown guy.
I was texting with a friend the other day who's going to be the one guy out of Edmonton that's going to vote for Evan Bouchard as the Norris winner this
No,
year.
Yeah.
I know. Well, I mean, there's you know what? I'm not going to say what I was going to say. I'll
Do it.
just zip it. No, I'll zip it.
Zip
We have friends out in Edmonton too. I don't want to paint them all with a bad brush, and then create speculation for who I'm talking about. So I'll just leave it.
Fair enough. From Tawasa Nucks, overrated, underrated, finishing first in the Western Conference.
This year, honestly, underrated.
No, in 3 years from now.
Yeah, this year, yeah. Underrated, I'd say. Like, so you can. It's likely going to be LA. Right? I mean, we'll see what happens. It could be, Vegas could lose and LA could win, and it could be Vegas that ends up with the 8th seed. But is playing LA that much worse than playing Nashville? And the fact that you wouldn't have to travel as much? It'd be an easier travel going down to LA and back?
Yeah, you'd have a bit of an easier travel day. Like the thing about it is avoiding Vegas. I think that's what most people are getting at when they send these kinds of messages in and comments in, because
say
LA is
underrated.
not all that scary.
I don't find LA scary. Now, I know they've had Vancouver's number in terms of results. I don't know if I would fear them as much in the postseason. I just don't feel that way about LA. I know you've been fading LA since before the season. I'd say underrated to answer the question, because I'm not as terrified of facing LA in round one as opposed to playing Nashville and the janky schedule you have against that team.
I can't say how nice it is to win a division and then downplay winning the
right?
conference. So it's definitely underrated in my book.
A sign from Burnaby. Overrated, underrated, extended rest before the playoffs.
Underrated.
Extended rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not just like
Keyword.
extended rest.
So like Nashville getting 7 or 8 days off. Like I'd rather have 7 or 8 days off than 2 days off like the Canucks are going to have.
yeah, I would say though there is something about like just being so out of rhythm. Say having 8 days off.
Yeah.
That you just don't get going in game 1 and then you lose the game.
Yeah.
And then gives enough time for the first team. Like I don't know. I'd say somewhat overrated, extended rest. I think that can kind of blow up in your face too if you have over week.
Yeah. I'd still rather take the rest than being on short rest.
Reach is
So,
trying to manifest that we don't start on Sunday.
Yeah. Take the rest. Rest is good. Get those little bruises from the 82 to heal away. Get the rest you need. I can see how it gets you out of habit and routine and stuff like that. Having like 8 days off, like, oh, we got a full bye week. Can we go to Cabo?
Like if they're well, imagine if they're flat for the first like 10 minutes and the Canucks come out as like firing right all over.
Canucks
'em
build a 3-0 lead in the first
right?
10 minutes. Yeah.
Like there is that risk of not being able to get yourself there.
I've always I've always seen the argument in baseball, where like if you're off for if you have the bye in the first round and you're off for 5 or 6 days and your timing is off when you get back to the plate and all of a sudden you go the first 3 games of the series and you're only able to cobble together like 5 or 6 runs and we've seen it happen so many times that it's just like it's in your mind, but I'm still generally rest over not rest.
Day 5 or 6 of practice could be like, let's just play the games already.
Yeah.
How many times can we battle hard? How many video sessions can we have?
That's true.
It can be preparation overload.
Yeah.
Like the extent, like 7 or 8 days is extensive. It's really long.
Well, and even Talk had mentioned today too. It's like you also don't want to be overcoaching, putting too much stuff in the guys' heads either, right?
From Van City Nation 16, overrated, underrated, Lindholm as a 3 seed.
It feels like he's underrated as a third-line center because people are angry about how much they paid for the player. They're seeing Andrei Kuzmenko have a ton of points and goals and all these things. And it's like, well, what did we trade him for? Plus, we gave them a first-round pick and one of our top prospects. And we got 5 goals out of this guy, and he's our third-line center. What do we trade for? But I liked what I saw Saturday against Edmonton. I've liked what I've seen generally out of Elias Lindholm, and I think it's going to have a huge benefit to the Canucks come playoff time.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. We're too much on the same page with Lindholm.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, there's nothing else. I don't want to repeat everything you just said. So
Just keep on moving forward.
Just say the trade was terrible, Sad, and it's overrated.
We already got a teaser about this one. But from Discount Dracula, overrated, underrated, Philip Hronek's chirp game.
You have holidays in 2 days.
you know what? I would say overrated because all he said was what everybody always says. Don't you have golf? Like as in like it's cold, but it's not what everybody says to the losing teams. Like it's a chirp as old as time, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why it's great.
It's great. No, I know.
But it's not Matt Martin, go dye your hair.
No, that's good too. Or what was it? I think it was.
If you're a perennial playoff team, maybe it doesn't have the same vibe, but when you're the Canucks...
I remember the Canucks, so back in the jerk puck era when the Canucks had Kessler and Burrows,
yes.
I remember, those guys were ruthless with how they went after guys. But I remember, I forget if it was Kessler or Burrows who did grab the stick and did the golf swing with it on the ice. Like, you guys are about to go. So, to me, that
wasn't that Todd Bertuzzi against Minnesota?
He did that. Well, Minnesota, he was saying some stuff. Like, he was chirping the fans. For game 3 in Minnesota because we were up. Well, it was game 4. No, game 5. They're up 3-1. He was chirping the fans about how the series is going to be over.
I also thought Bertuzzi chirped Minnesota when it was 2-0 Vancouver in game 7.
That too, yeah. Well, he chirped them a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of Bertuzzi.
But you know what? To his credit, he also said when the Canucks were down 3-1 against the Blues, we're going to come back, and they did. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I don't know. Hronek gets extra points because you're not expecting that out of Philip Hronek.
Well,
it's underrated. I didn't expect that out of Philip Hronek. That's perfect.
That's more than I've heard from him talking to the media for the last 6 months.
When was the last time he did speak to media? Was it training camp?
It was that there was a piece Ian McIntyre had earlier this season, and he got a few quotes from Philip Hronek,
and that's it.
That's the only thing I can remember. That's the only notable interview that I can remember from Philip Hronek all season.
He never spoke to media in Detroit, and has found a way to make that happen here in Vancouver as well.